You know the feeling, right? You're staring at something you absolutely have to do, but you find yourself doing literally anything else. It feels like a total personal failure, a lack of willpower. But what if I told you it's not a moral failing at all? What if it's just a simple trick your brain is playing on you? Let's get into it. Look, that struggle with procrastination, it's not a sign that you're lazy. It's actually a predictable, deeply wired battle happening inside your own head. So today, we're going to pull back the curtain on why your brain is almost always going to choose instant relief over a long-term reward. And, more importantly, how you can use that exact same wiring to your advantage. Sound familiar? You've got this huge deadline breathing down your neck, but your brain somehow decides that right now is the perfect time to alphabetize your bookshelf. Or, deep clean the kitchen grout. This isn't just some random impulse. Nope. It's your brain running a very specific and, honestly, a very flawed survival program. To really beat procrastination, you first have to know who the real enemy is. And here's the spoiler. It's not a lack of willpower. It's a cognitive trap, a little glitch in our thinking that scientists actually have a name for. This right here, this is the absolute heart of the problem. Your brain is wired to think that a reward later is worth way, way less than a reward now. So the amazing feeling of finishing that project next week, it feels super abstract and kind of fuzzy, compared to the very real, very instant relief you get from just not starting it. Let's make this real. Imagine a graphic designer. We'll call her Sarah. She knows that if she finishes this logo project, she's going to get a cool $2,000 in a couple of weeks. That's a great reward. But her brain isn't just weighing that future money against nothing. No, it's comparing it to the immediate reward of just feeling better right now by avoiding the stress. And in that moment, as you can see, that impulse for instant relief, it almost always wins the fight. And this isn't just some vague idea. You can literally see this happen in brain scans. fMRI studies show that when you think about getting something right now, your limbic system, that's the emotional kind of caveman part of your brain, it just lights up like a pinball machine. But when you think about a future reward, it's your prefrontal cortex, the calm, rational planner that gets to work. The problem? The limbic system is way louder and way faster. And this is the big one. Let this sink in for a second. Procrastination isn't a time management problem. It's an emotional one. Your brain sees the stress of starting a big, scary task as a threat, and putting it off is its escape plan. So the key isn't to manage our time better, it's to manage our emotions. Okay, so if our emotional brain is the problem, how do we outsmart it? Well, the solution lies in another really powerful quirk of our minds, one that we can actually turn into a weapon against procrastination itself. You ever notice how a song you only heard a piece of can get stuck in your head for hours? Yeah, that's the Zeigarnik Effect. Our brains absolutely hate unresolved tension. We hate these open loops. An unfinished task creates this nagging mental itch that our brain becomes obsessed with scratching. The original research for this is actually pretty cool. It came from watching waiters in a super busy cafe. They could remember every single little detail of a dozen complicated orders that were still in progress. But the second a table paid the bill and that task was closed, poof, they'd instantly forget what the people had ordered. Your brain treats that big project on your to-do list the exact same way. This is honestly one of the biggest mindset shifts you can possibly make. We all sit around waiting to feel motivated so we can start, but we've got it completely backwards. Motivation isn't some magical spark that just shows up. It's a fire you build by taking that first step. And the Zeigarnik Effect is the match we can use to light it. So let's connect the dots. How do we actually use this open loop idea to spark that motivation and just get started already? In Bluma Zeigarnik's original study, the results were just staggering. Subjects were 90% more likely to remember tasks they were forced to leave unfinished. That just goes to show how incredibly powerful the mental pull of an open loop really is. And this is how we use it. It's so simple, it feels like it shouldn't work. First, you pick that one thing you've been avoiding like the plague. Then, you commit to working on it for just 5 minutes. Set a timer, start, and here's the most important part. You give yourself full, unconditional permission to stop the second that timer dings. The low barrier to entry is everything. So why on earth does this work? Well, a 5-minute commitment is so tiny, so non-threatening, that it basically sneaks right past your emotional brain's panic button. It doesn't trigger that threat response. But, and this is the genius of it, it's just long enough to crack open the task, to get it started, and to activate that nagging Zeigarnik Effect. All of a sudden, the brain that hated the idea of starting now hates the idea of starting even more. Okay, so let's wrap this all up. The real breakthrough in beating procrastination, it's not about finding a fancier calendar or a new to-do list app. It's about understanding the psychology at play and learning to manage your emotional state. What you're really doing is running a tiny, safe experiment for your brain. You're proving to that primal, emotional part of you that this task isn't a saber-toothed tiger waiting to pounce. It's just a task. By making that first step laughably small, you bypass the fear and you get straight to the momentum. And that is the absolute magic of the 5-minute rule. You stop trying to summon motivation out of thin air. Instead, you just trick the system into creating it for you. That big, vague, overwhelming fear of the whole project gets turned into the simple, concrete momentum of writing one sentence or washing one dish. And once you have a little momentum, that huge emotional barrier, it just kind of melts away. So the next time you feel that pull of procrastination, don't fight it. Don't feel guilty about it. Just get clever. The real question isn't whether you can finish that huge, scary thing. The only question you need to ask is this: what will you start for just 5 minutes?